I'm going to try to wait till some people come in here. This is my first live. I was going to just make a video, but then I would have had to put it through the editor, do all this, and it just seemed easier to just go live, and that's it. But I wanted to answer questions and just get people updated on where everything is, because they're just seeing the video. They're just seeing the video like a year later after I posted it. And I mean, it's been up for the longest, so, but I had to wait already an entire year just for indictment, because supposedly because of COVID. So that's why it took so long just for indictment. But yeah, so the video, the short is really only, what, like 60 seconds, I think it is. And it doesn't really have enough information on it, so I figured I would just come in here and fill you in. I'm looking at, what time is it? 10:45. Some people should be home by now, so I figured this would be a good time. Yeah, so if you, I don't even know how to do this, so let me check. I guess I can look at my comments like this. Live chat. I can't even see the chat, so I don't even think I can answer questions. I don't even think I can answer questions, so I might as well just start talking about it. Anyway, so this whole arrest video, this whole arrest was ridiculous, but I had been working on the farm all day, house sitting for my parents, and I met this guy, this veteran. Like, there's a place, I don't know if you guys know about Restore. Habitat for Humanity is, they have stores called Restore, and then they have like gardening stuff, house stuff, and all this whatnot that you can get. It's kind of like Goodwill, but like for house stuff. And so I went there for like gardening stuff, and I met this veteran that was there, and he was like, I always just get like people come to me that need healing type thing. So I started talking to the guy in the parking lot. We were talking for hours. He was, was giving his military experience and everything, and he was decent dude. Did odd jobs. I dead ass was deciding that I wanted to make a rain catchment system off the house, because I just got tired of like connecting the hoses and dragging that shit around to water plants and whatnot. So I was like, it's about to rain for the next couple of days. Let me make a rain catchment system. I done knocked the damn gutter off the house, because the people that put the gutter in, they just used nails and they attached it to brick. So the gutter fell down. So I was like, it's a 2-story house. I'm not climbing up on nobody's ladder. I'm going to see if you can fix this gutter for me. At least hold the ladder. So anyway, I met him, but my parents don't like strangers coming to their house, none of that. So that night, I texted him, because I was like, I'm going to treat him to Taco Bell and just get to know him, like suss him out a little bit better, because that way we're not talking about like, military stuff, and we'll just hang out. Anyway, I put the GPS, put his address in, and when I left the house, I told my brother, I was like, I'm just going to go pick up this guy I met the other day at your store. We're going to grab tacos, chill for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to take him back home, and that's it, because I'm tired. So I go to pick him up, and where he lives is like, there's no GPS signal. So I was lost for like an hour trying to find him. I found him, like, he just decided, okay, I guess she's just lost. So he just started walking in the street, And I just so happened to run into him while he was like looking for me. So I pick him up. He shows me how to get back to the Taco Bell. I had already been to that Taco Bell before with my brother. Another time I had gone with my parents. But this time I was going by myself, and I don't know the area, so because I don't live in Georgia, so I didn't know really where I was at. Finally, we get into the Taco Bell drive-through, but I remember the last time I was at the Taco Bell drive-through, we spent like 60 something dollars on food. And then I get home, I didn't check because there were so many people in the line. I didn't want to hold up the line. I just drove off and was like, whatever. I didn't check it because they never complained about it. They never said like, oh, I get, when you go to fast food places and they mess up your order, they're like, you better check your order because they be messing up your shit. Nobody said that to me. So I just drove off and I went home, and then I had all the wrong food. And I was like, oh hell no, because the place is like 30 minutes away. 30 minutes just to get there, 30 minutes back. And that's on a good day. So when I got there, I was like, I ordered my food. Then I told the people, I'm like, look, I just want to make sure that you don't give me no chicken chalupas, because last time I don't like chicken chalupas. Last time I went home, I had chicken chalupas, and I'm not trying to pay for shit that I'm not gonna eat, because I didn't even eat it because I don't like it. I don't like the flavor of it. I don't like how it tastes. And so the people were like, I understand, blah blah blah. We'll make sure that the order's right and this and that. I was like, I'm serious, because like at that point it was in the middle of COVID, gas prices were crazy, and I was already getting bitched at just for basic going to the store and getting basic necessities. Like, yo, these gas prices are out of control. Don't be out there just driving around and wasting my gas. And so and my car, I had a car, but my car was it was having problems, so I had to drive their car. Anyway, I finally get to the damn Taco Bell, and I was already lost for an hour. I told them about my food. They were like, no, no problem. I paid for my food. Then I go to the window. Then I'm in the window and my phone signal comes back on, and I have all these missed calls. My brother is going off on me. He's like, what the fuck? I thought you hit a deer, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, nigga, calm down. Like, I'm like, calm the fuck down, da da da. And so, and the people, the cashiers are sitting in the window looking at me like, like laughing about it, because and I was like, man, I told him, I said, I was gone for like an hour and he thought I was lost. He thought I hit a deer. So they were laughing at me, and I'm still waiting on my damn food. So then I see lights on and I'm like, oh shit. So I'm on the phone with him though. So everybody's like, why's your video so where's the rest of the video? Da da da. I'm like, I was on the dead ass, I was on the phone on a voice call, and I had to get off the phone. I had to tell him, yo, the cops are here. I got to get off the phone. I need to record. Then I have to get off the phone. Then I already feel the energy of the guy coming up to me. So I'm like, shit, I got to roll my windows up to a crack. I gave him like this much space of crack in the window, so that like if I needed to give ID, I just slide it through the window, because they out here wild out here. So I'm only trying to give them like this much space. So hang, let me put this phone a little bit better. So I got my contacts in. Anyway, that day I had glasses on too, so I want to bring that up. That day I had glasses on because I had my contacts in all day, because I'm sensitive to light, so I have to wear shades when I go outside, even on cloudy days. And but I had them on all day, and my eyes were like just dry as shit, burnt like horrible. So I put some eye drops in, threw my glasses on, and I don't even be trying to drive at nighttime with glasses on because I got old glasses. But I was hungry, and it is what it is. I need to get this food. So I'm on the phone, I get off the phone, I roll my windows up, then I'm like, damn, I gotta figure out where the hell my wallet. Well, I don't remember where I didn't know where my wallet was because I had already paid, and then I was on the phone. Usually I will put my wallet back in my pocket and be done with it, but I think I had it in these cargo shorts. I think I had it in the side pockets. I pull that out, and then I'm sitting there like, what the shit, like, oh man, this is what's going on, because I don't understand why anybody's coming up to me in the damn Taco Bell drive-through anyway. That don't even make no damn sense to me as prior law enforcement. Even if you had, let's say you saw me do a traffic violation on the street, you're not supposed to be going up to nobody in the private on private property You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to be writing tickets on private property. So I was like, this is mad sus. And I know that it's the country, and I already was already looking at it like, oh hell no. So um the guy, this only one guy comes up to me, goes up to the passenger's window, and he's like asking for ID, and I'm like, I don't have any problem with giving you ID, but you know, what is your reasoning for asking me for the ID? What crime did I commit? What reasonable suspicion do you have? Like, what can you give me? Because I need something before I give you this ID. You're not telling me anything. He straight up goes, oh, you were arguing with the people in the drive-through, and I'm like, first I said arguing, it's not illegal for you to have an argument. I wasn't arguing, but it's not illegal for you to have an argument. That's not a good reason for you to ask me for my ID. And I said, and if you would like to confirm whether I was arguing with somebody in the drive-through, the person standing right there, you can literally go right there to the window and ask her. You don't even have to go there. You can look over the car, because it's a crossover. You can look over the damn car with your tall ass and ask the lady that's standing right there. He didn't want to do that. So I was just like, well, then I really don't have any reason to give you no ID, because arguing is nothing wrong with arguing. And it's not like I was arguing. I was flat out just telling her, like, please do not mess up my shit. Like, do not mess up my shit, because I'm exhausted. I do not have it in me to be coming back over here a whole nother hour there and back to fix some damn tacos. And they were like, all right, I understand. That's it. But anyway, the guy was in the back of the Taco Bell line. He was in the back of the Taco Bell line, because when I watched the dash cam video, he was sitting in the Taco Bell line, and then decided, because I don't know, I guess it was taking too long, he heard yelling over the cars or whatever, that he felt he needed to get into the business. Meanwhile, nobody's hanging out no cars, nobody's doing no threatening, nothing, none of that. I'm just telling him, make sure my shit is right, because I'm paying. Taco Bell's not cheap. Taco trucks are cheaper than the damn Taco Bell, okay? And they better. But everybody goes to Taco Bell because they stay open late. Anyway, so he couldn't give me any reasoning why I should give my ID. He didn't cite any crime that I committed. So I'm looking at him, and he didn't say that I was speaking violently to anybody, because there was cars in the drive-through. You couldn't hear shit back there, okay? When I heard the dash cam video before because it only shows when he pulled up. Once that dash cam turns on is when they turn their lights on. So he was already close to me, and he could hear me once that dash cam video turned on, sure. But he was getting out of his car to engage me. Before that, you can't hear really anything with all the cars on. So I just looked at it like, this nosy fucking dude, man, all up in my damn business. Like, and he already coming over here with this energy. I was like, no. And my passenger was sitting there like, he's like, just calm down, I'm like, I'm calm, but I mean, I'm logical. I'm gonna ask him I'm asking questions. I'm not just gonna willingly just give him breach my privacy and just give him my information. And I know he didn't run my plates, because that's not my car. That's my mom's car. Both of my parents have a clean history. So nobody is going to sit there and say, oh, he ran the plates and you probably had a warrant. We're talking about, when I went to the police academy, they taught us how to racially profile, how to economically profile. And I was in there and I said, that's not legal. You cannot do that. You can't just be going up to people because they look disheveled. I grew up in the middle class. My aunt used to send me clothes that, like, I didn't really wear them because I'm like, I wear boys' clothes. So I didn't wear a lot of girls' clothes that my aunts used to send me from my cousins. We used to get hand-me-down clothes. A lot of people send you good clothes, but some people send you shit that's raggedy. So let's say you don't got it like that, and people trying to help you out. You got kids, they sending you stuff, and your kids going outside with, mismatched clothes or raggedy clothes. They telling us to go up to them, to harass them. So I'm like, it ain't making sense to me. I'm the only one in the academy talking about that shit, that shit is not right. And then, to me, that's not only racial profiling, it's also economic profiling. So I just didn't like it. Then when we get out of the academy, not only did we learn that there, our supervisors were teaching us how to commit crimes, because they were committing crimes. And then we had to be standing next to them. And if you weren't like me and was like, what the hell is this? Then, you are a part of it. You are complicit in that crime. You're complicit in that human rights violation. I was not like that. So, prime example, they told us we were going to a house to go do a drug bust. We roll in there deep with guns up in here. I'm the only one with no damn guns. And because I was a special officer, class one, so I didn't have nobody damn gun. I was doing all their damn job, the same shit that they do with a gun. I was doing everything that they do without a gun, and still never had to put no force on nobody. People put their hands behind their back, and I put their ass in handcuffs. I never had to fight nobody, never had to have no problems with nobody because I wasn't out here ego tripping like they asses do. And and I still was writing tickets, still arresting people, still doing raids, all that. But when they told us we were going in there, we roll up in this house and there's like it's a nice house, but it was like Mexicans was clearly living up in there. Like I don't even know if it was just Mexicans. There was a whole bunch of people clearly was living up in there, and then but nobody was in there because everybody knows that local stores hire these guys, you know, for nighttime stuff and like back counter things in the kitchen and stuff. So they working, okay, but we wasn't sheriffs. Sheriffs supposed to be a victim people. I thought we were going for a drug bust. So I'm like, it's gonna be all kind of drugs up in this bitch, right? Hell no. Wasn't nobody drugs, wasn't nobody people, wasn't nothing. It was evidence that people lived there. And then they walking up the stairs with guns, and I'm like the third person back. And then I pop my head up, and I'm like, I see a little kid. They still trying to go in the room with the guns pointed at the little kid. So I rushed past them like, oh hell no, because hell no. And they're like, well, I'm like, it's a kid in there. You can't be doing that. And it was a lady and a kid. And so I went in there, I checked the, like, I looked around the corner, checked the room. It was a freaking dude dying of pneumonia in the bed, a lady, and freaking a kid. I'm like, that. So now I have to translate and explain to them, they're trying to evict you. And it's in the middle of the night, in the middle of the freezing cold winter, that they want to evict them in a town where there's no shelters, right? I was all the way against it. I cussed everybody out, and I was like, we need to get out of here. Nobody's doing anything wrong. This is not our job. And the least that you can do is wait till the morning, because I'm not going to have you kicking no child out in the middle of the damn night where she could freeze and die. There's no shelters, there's no buses, there's no nothing. So I worked in environments like that, and I was like, hell no, I'm not putting up with it. Ever since that incident, not even a couple months later, I moved to New York, and I was going to commute back and forth. Why I get arrested, falsely arrested, I was going to say arrested, because once I came out and started talking like that to my coworkers, they started acting real funny. The chief like bitching at me because my shirt's not tucked in, trying to write me up because my shirt's not tucked in, and stupid shit. And so I get arrested, and it would have been one thing if I was arrested by like one officer. It was in a four-way street, DTs, vans, marked cars, all kind of niggas going after a car full of girls. It was three girls in the car who I don't even know the girls. They were just friends of my roommate at the time. Picked me up to go take me to go make a copy of my key, and I'm like, this is real sus. This is real sus, because one of the girls' parents was a cop, and then the other one was just like, some random person that she didn't have no criminal history. None of us had a criminal history, and I was on payroll at the time. Luckily, the judge wasn't a dick like this judge. And when they saw what they were trying to charge me with, which was impersonating a police officer, meanwhile I'm on payroll, they already contacted my chief, but instead of letting me go, they kept me in jail and all over the weekend. And then when the judge saw that on Monday, he was like, "What the f is this?" Da, 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 cussing everybody out, and then he just threw the case out and let me out. Then they did internal investigations on the case, on the incident, and IA never got back to me. My chief never got back to me. It was basically like, screw you, and that's it. I was looking at them the same way, because I didn't like what they were doing, and they weren't paying me enough to be putting up with that bullshit. So now we're flash forward, because I've been going through a lot of stuff since then, but I don't be out here telling my business. But multiple different agencies that I've had to deal with in that time frame have retaliated against me. So I look at it like this is ongoing. So now I'm over there in Georgia, And now I have this guy up in my face, and because I decide, I know, okay, you need to at least give me something before I give you this ID, because it's not a traffic stop, we're on private property, you didn't pull me over while I was driving, which is why that whole, oh, as long as your key is in the ignition bullshit needs to go out of the window. Because if you're sitting in your vehicle and you're not driving, you're not driving. Okay? You're not in nobody's traffic. Your ass is on private property. Traffic is traffic, private property is private property. But anyway, so I saw how we were taught how to commit crimes and cover up crimes and cover each other's backs. So I already know that they were on some bullshit. So once I refused the ID, he called for backup. 4 other officers showed up, and then they didn't know what was going on. He just was basically directing them as to what they should be doing and what they should be saying. And I'm, while that's happening, telling them, ask the person if he's saying that I was arguing with somebody. Ask the person if I was arguing with them. Ask them what I said. So nobody wanted to do that. They could completely ignore that. Nobody wanted to be logical. The passenger's like, you're escalating the situation for unnecessarily, like this is ridiculous. And then they got to the point where he was just like, you know, like he already knew like they're about to be busting the window. Let me just unlock the car, because they were trying to take him out of the car anyway. So then they pull him out of the car, put him over to the side, and then those 2 officers come over and still try to get me to get out of the car. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. Because now you want, to me, you want to fight me now. You want to fight me because I don't want to give you ID. I already know you want to fight me, so I'm staying in my vehicle. That's my protection. You should not have to step outside of your private property. You should not have to step outside of your protection to go engage with people that want to fight you. It's not logical. It doesn't make no sense. And since we're already corrupt all the way up to all the courts we have in here, okay, I tell people slavery was legal too. It doesn't mean that it was right. That's how I look at them. So, and I don't care how they feel about it. I don't care about whatever they're fucking, they think I look like a criminal, whatever. All that bullshit that they're saying in the comments. I was initially just going to start deleting them, but I just was like, just leave them there so that people can see their mentality and they can see the thought process that made these officers the way they are today. Because that comply or die bullshit is the reasoning why they act like that today. Also, they act like that because back in the day, we used to, our grandma lived right down the dirt path from the KKK. You know what was keeping them under control? Open carry. That was the only thing that was keeping them, you could see they hated you. You could already know. But at least they weren't rolling up on you. You could see they were in the police departments and all that. They weren't rolling up on you though. They were moving along about their business and leaving you alone because they knew other people had weapons. It was clear to see. They couldn't even see if I had one in this instance. But at the end of the day, should I feel that my life is in jeopardy and I fear for my life, I should be able to protect my life. If they can kill anybody that's complying because they fear for their freaking life, why the hell is everybody else not allowed to do that? First of all, that's our constitutional rights. Nowhere in this country there should be any laws that are unconstitutional. They shouldn't be. Because in that case, then we're going to have to go into the rewriting of the Constitution, which gets all these people up in arms and gets them all, flustered and crazy. So I look at it like, don't complain when people are claiming sovereign, because you don't want to include people in our constitutional rights, and you bipartisanly allowed the Republicans in power at the time and the Democrats in power to make laws that were unconstitutional. You agreed to it. You weren't trying to stop that. You were cool with that. So everybody tries to blame one side or the other. All of those rights that I'm talking about, they did that together. Because when it comes to the NRA, you're not passing nothing that the NRA doesn't agree with. Okay? So the NRA could say they're not racist and this and that, and they take any kind of any type of race people in their group. But at the end of the day, they're passing laws that are doing nothing but affecting us disproportionately. So I look at it and I just say, it is what it is. That case got through out. I didn't have anything on my record from that. When they came up to me, I didn't have any record on that. So they coached each other while the video was on to say that I had a warrant when I did not. Then after all of the whole trying to pull me out of the car and me resisting, then they called medical for themselves because they slammed my head into the car once the video stopped. A video stopped because he knocked the phone out of my hand. Thank goodness I have a military grade, or my screen would have been jacked up right now. But a military grade cell phone case. But um, he knocked the phone out of my hand. Then he slammed my head into the metal frame of the car, and then he put his forearm on my neck and was choking me. So I pulled his freaking hand down. I bit that shit because I was already woozy from a concussion, and then I'm starting to lose consciousness. So I'm like, oh hell no, it ain't gonna be me unconscious around four niggas. So I was like, we fighting in this bitch, like period. So that's what it was. I fought all the way into the damn police car, and that's it. And kicking, biting, screaming, and everything. And they didn't like it. You know who they called the ambulance for? They didn't call the ambulance on the person with the concussion. They didn't call the ambulance on the person who was sitting over here, just they were just fighting. They called the ambulance on them because they got bit. Mind you, I didn't even break no dang skin. They had to get a band-aid, and they admit that in their police report that they called the ambulance to aid the officer, which they already telling on themselves in their own damn police report. Then they go to the judge to get a quick, easy warrant for the arrest because they're claiming that there's disorderly conduct. Meanwhile, they have never confirmed, no, they didn't confirm any disorderly conduct. They just made that shit up out of thin air. That's why I'm laughing about it, because I was like, this is unbelievable. Like you really going real far, because you can see on somebody, you can see on their face when they know they messed up. And it's like when they mess up, they're not like people that mess up and like, let me just quit it, and that's it. No, they were going, let me just dig my hole deeper and just go deeper in it. So I was just like, well, what am I gonna do at this point? As long as I protect myself and my vulnerable spaces on my body, and as long as I know my first responder skills, which was when you have a concussion, you better stay your ass awake all night. That's what happens when you get a concussion. You go to the emergency room. They monitor you around the clock for 24 hours so that you don't fall asleep and not wake up. So I'm sitting there just throwing up bile because I have a headache so damn bad that I'm just throwing up. I'm throwing up nothing, and then but my brain is like just not right. So I'm just sitting there like I can't fall asleep. I can't fall asleep. So I'm staying in my cell all night by myself. They leave me in there. Then I look, as I get the paperwork later on, they show for the disorderly conduct that they're justifying as making that arrest lawful. Okay, they didn't have no lawful reason to ask for the ID in the first place, but in order to justify their behavior, then they filed paperwork to the judge to get a warrant. And they got their warrant, but themselves in court because, for one, they never confirmed that there was any disorderly conduct, number one. Number two, they said that I was violently speaking to the cashiers. I don't be violently speaking to no one, okay? I'll cuss your ass out. Cussing is not violent speech. It's not fighting words. You can call somebody a bitch and say, fuck you and da-da-da-da. That's not fighting words, okay? You could use not cusses and tell somebody, listen, you look at me one more time, I'll whoop your fucking ass. You don't even have to cuss, I'm gonna whoop your ass. You don't even have to say ass, I'm gonna tear that up, okay? I'm gonna run across your face, destruct your whole face, okay? Those are fighting words. And they're not curses. But in the dirty South over there, Bible belt pushing, we go to church every day, but we watch gay porn. The South of, we could drink on the job and we can do blase, blase, blah. We can commit crimes and do this, and that. But God forbid we hear you cussing. Oh my God, you can't be cussing. Oh, you too loud. And so I look at it and I'm just like, that's exactly what happened. And so when they put the warrants in, they didn't confirm. Then they said that it was the cashier, whom they didn't confirm it with. Then they said it was some dude behind me, this Jared Palmer person, who I put his information out there because he's the bootlicking EMT who was like, oh, women like that are the reason that I don't want to, I chose not to go in law enforcement. And I'm like, no, you chose not to go in law enforcement because you're a pussy. Okay, but number one. Number two, when my public defender called him to confirm what he saw, he was thinking like they were, oh, she was loud, belligerent, da da da. She must have been drinking this and that. The public defender was like, well, did you have any contact with her? And he was like, no, I didn't have any contact with her. I just yelled out the window to get her out of our face, or whatever, to get her out of the line or whatever, so we could get our food. And in the warrant request, they said that the cashier was a victim of my violent crimes, and that was one request. Then they had another request that said he was the victim. Right now, qualified immunity does not work for them because now they are on record under oath being caught lying. Okay, qualified immunity does not cover them if they're caught lying, and if they're, in general, whether that be on video or whether that be on documentation, which is why so many people want to get out there and get them on video, because they don't want them to have no qualified immunity. And that's really the only loophole that we have right now, because it doesn't seem like they're trying to do away with qualified immunity. So now they have a non-credible witness because he flat out admitted that he didn't see me. And then they're not credible because they claim that he was somebody that I was violently speaking to when I had no contact with him. Then they're talking about a cashier who they never confirmed anything with. And we're both standing there like, what the hell is going on? She's looking at him like, why are you doing all of this? And then looking at me like, I hope you don't die, basically. So then they when they pulled my passenger out, what else? So that's the initial charge that they put, and the judge should have saw that, because she had two papers. She had two damn papers that were with conflicting information for one charge. If, let's say that I was being disorderly to whoever, let's say that I was drinking, first of all, they should have did a sobriety test, or they should have sent me to the ER. They never sent me to nobody's ER. They never did any of that. Then they're talking about disorderly. If I would have had been if they didn't have no problem with giving me a felony obstruction of officer for fighting them, and then another obstruction, misdemeanor obstruction, and then a regular disorderly conduct, what would have been one more disorderly conduct? Nothing. It would have been another misdemeanor. So if it was actually true, then it would have been 2 counts of disorderly conduct. But it wasn't true, which is why I'm trying to say they made that shit up out of thin air, because they saw somebody cussing and they thought I was cussing at the cashier and threatening the cashier over some fucking tacos. Okay? If the cashier was that offended, everybody knows that fast food places would have been like, get your ass on, and wouldn't have even accepted your card, wouldn't have took your money and nothing, and you would have been on your way. Because you wouldn't have been, they would have refused to serve you. And so I look at that. The judge should have saw that. She proceeded with the malicious prosecution. She was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have their back, and that's it. Then I was in jail for 7 days because I needed to be bailed out, and I didn't have the money to get bailed out. And so I had my brother come bail me out. Well, his friend come bail me out. He put up property to bail me out. And then he was harassed, which is why it's a year later and I didn't put no complaint in. I didn't file no complaint because I'm like, the public defender was like, if you complain and if you file a civil suit before you go to court and get and plead an Alford plea of guilty, but Alford plea is basically you're guilty, but you're pleading guilty, but you're innocent, and you're still maintaining your innocence. Because you're either in a corrupt, would have a corrupt court, or with a jury that's blue line cultists, or the evidence is such that all the people that are not corrupt and blue line cultists would vote against you, right? And so, but in my case, it was literally the court is corrupt as shit. There's blue line cultists. I have the list of the people's names, but I didn't want to dox them like that. The officer's information is the officer's information, and that's it. But I got the list of the jury as well, and they're telling me, they're the ones who picked the jury. They're telling me they're gonna convict you of all these crimes, and then you're gonna get the maximum. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just take probation and a bid, and that's it. They claim that they were going to get that off of my record after the 6 months bid. People are in the comments acting like they did a background check on me and it's still there. So clearly they did not follow our legal binding contract with the court, even in the slightest, because my shit should have been off as soon as I paid that last penny to their asses. Okay? So they don't do what they are supposed to do, and then what you have to now suffer. You have to suffer loss of business. You have to suffer. Let's say if you don't have a job and you're looking for a job, and they keep that shit on your record for how long? Meanwhile, they're the ones who just made up some random ass shit because they were in their feelings about whatever they claim they asses heard. Because really, all they heard was some black bitch yelling in her car. Really, that's all they heard. Because I was on the phone with my brother yelling at him to calm his ass the hell down. So, where are we? So I didn't put in any complaints because I was like, oh, this is going to be some retaliation going on. If people on the federal level, working on the federal level, are worried about retaliation, and I'm already knowing and have been experiencing retaliation, I'm definitely knowing that there's going to be retaliation. So I come back up to New York. I'm flying back and forth, finally get my probation, and then I just stay inside or whatever. And during that time, my brother's being harassed around the clock. His friends being harassed around the clock. He was harassed around the clock up until he got on heavy drugs and was arrested himself. Now he's supposedly in rehab. We don't even talk, so I don't even really know. Then his friend was harassed all crazy, but he had some mental fortitude with him, so he wasn't out there doing what, getting on nobody's drugs. He went and got himself an attorney and sued the shit out of them for a couple million and won. Because how the hell are you harassing people because they bailed somebody out? That's corruption. That is corruption. So no matter what they're saying about me, no matter how much they try to tarnish my image, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. And people are like, get a lawyer, don't be talking about this stuff online. I look at it like this. First of all, if you can comply and die, why the fuck are we complying? Oh, the probability of you dying is greater if you fight. Actually, no, it's not. Because I can actually whoop their asses if I fight. If I really fought, like I wasn't even really fighting. I was just trying to make sure they weren't trying to beat on me too bad. Okay? So, that's number one. Number two, if they're sitting there trying to tarnish a person's image who has not given a shit about their image, who has not been worried about none of this. I'm an introvert. I don't worry about the shit of fame and things that people are worried about. I do not care. That is irrelevant to me. If I cared about that shit, I would have been paying YouTube for fucking subscribers years ago. I've had videos up there years ago. Okay? Been. Oh, I can see my chat, y'all. Hey, Tonoris and John O'Brien, PD and CO deputies are jive. That sounds like 70s language. Jive is supposed to be cool. They're not cool. Jive is not cool. They're not cool. They weren't cool. They were not cool. Jive, did they change jive? Is that 2023 jive? Or is that 70s jive? Because I thought jive was cool. But I also wasn't alive in the 70s, so I don't know. Anyway. You're getting me distracted now. So, where was I? Oh, so the retaliation. So, the whole year went by. Then I get indicted. Then I go through the whole process. And could never what? Then I go through the whole process, and then I'm expecting everything to be fine, but then I find out that the harassment that was going on, I'm like, thank goodness I didn't make any reports, but I did make a report with the FBI. I did, because I'm like, who the hell am I going to go to? Because the DOJ, the last time I hit up the DOJ was when Trump was in office, when I had my first service dog, and I used to try to kind of just like, go into the city and get immersed with people, just to kind of just train him, but as well as to not have to be so secluded from things, because I really don't care about socializing, but they keep telling us that's what we're supposed to be doing, so I go, let me give it a try, right? 18 stores. I had a list of 18 stores that kicked me out, including my landlord, who was acting crazy as shit about the damn service dog. And I'm like, I can't handle this by myself. This is too much. So I sent a letter, sent the information to the DOJ. They send me back, oh, well, you definitely have cases, but it's not in our budget for us to handle that. I'm like, what is it in your budget to handle? Because, it's clearly looking like you only existed to supposedly handle yourself. Because every time I turn around, you looking about this corruption in office. And you're talking about, these corrupt people that should have never been in there in the first place. The full criminals that you guys hired and nobody did a background check on them. Like, yeah, that's how I look at it. I am chatty. I said I don't socialize. I stay in here by myself with my animals. I talk to my animals. So obviously I'm going to be chatty. Obviously. Anyway. And there's a lot of shit to cover. This is years of shit that's been going on. This is decades of shit. So, yeah. Anyway, so I made that report. I haven't heard anything back from the FBI. They have their own drama going on. And then now that I'm off probation, I can file my complaints, but I honestly don't even want to deal with that. I'd rather have an attorney deal with that because I don't want to be going down there and being next to them. I don't want to go down there. That's why they kept the dash cam video, because I got the discovery packet and they claim that they gave me the DVD. I got the discovery packet. There's no DVD in there. So they clearly must want me to just come down there. That's not that you don't do stuff like that just because. You don't make mistakes like that. You're supposed to be given the CD. If you showed me the CD, you have the CD. So where we are now is that then I did my research about all these nonprofit civil rights attorneys, and they're basically in the government's pocket. Every time you see one of them come out, it's like somebody had to die. You reach out to them, they're not answering nobody's emails, they're not answering anything. You call if you get a number to them and call their firms, you're hearing from them that they will not represent you unless you had the crimes that they claim that you committed dropped. Meanwhile, they will represent a convicted felon in prison. So they're already convicted. Their charges are not dropped. Why are regular people having to abide by those, requirements for them to have a civil rights attorney? It doesn't make any sense. So that's where we are. I don't think there's any other questions. I'm basically just, now that this it was a year that it happened, and then a 6-month probation. So a year and 6 months, and then the video blew up. So now we're just at the last end of the probation and in the process of now trying to seek, legal counsel. So, and I don't trust to hire anybody that is pro bono or anybody that's a nonprofit, because it looks like a shitload of damn corruption over there. It looks like they're in their damn pocket, so I don't want to do that. But yeah, so that's it. I hope I caught everybody up, and I might have forgot stuff, but if there's any more questions, then that's the update. But yeah, at the time of them going up to me, there was no warrant. They said that for the video because they knew that they were gonna stick one to me. So yeah, but anyway, since there's no questions in the comments, I'm just gonna leave it at that, because John O'Brien is apparently lost his patience with his chattiness. All right, guys.